Have I got a bright idea for you? I guarantee it'll lighten up your day. Welcome back, my fellow duplicants, to Oxygen Not Included. Today, we are taking a good close look here at shine bugs ranching. Power plants, we're going to make some food. These little guys reproduce very, very quickly. Now, based on a lot of comments that came in from the last kind of hatchery thing that we were doing right there, we're now going to look at some shine bugs. This one should be a little bit more simple because there's a lot less automation involved, basically because they just fly around, so you don't have to do a whole lot with them. Now, there are a ton of comments talking about this with different examples here. You got Mr. Kudascope Eyes here, actually has this one right there. You can check that out. I mean, look at how many have dropped into his base right there. That's ridiculous. Only 79 cycles into the game. Another example of this was from Spoilt, and you can see just how many Luxes there are in that one spot right there. So we're going to investigate this madness that is the hatch kind of reproduction madness, and how much light it gives off. The fact that we can actually use a solar panel on shine bugs to gain a little bit of passive power. Matter of fact, there's also some forum posts over here that have been directed to as far as the idea of just how much food we get out of it. Now, there are some things to take into consideration. We'll take a look at that, and we're going to do some fun math just to try to figure out how efficient these shine bugs really are as a food source. All right, so let's just list out the variables, right? We got wild and tamed shine bugs. They're going to have different properties, different reproduction rates. So that's something to keep a lookout for. They're going to consume calories, and for the most part, they're going to consume phosphorite, which we have in plenty around our base. Although I seem to have dug it all up. No, there's some right there. Boom. There it is. You have a lot of that stuff. Just the purple stuff. Not all of them consume phosphorite. There are a few exceptions. So we need to measure some things, like, is the calories intake the same as the rate that they consume? Is it a 1-to-1 ratio like we've seen? There was actually an interesting question on my last video that was about why do we keep saying calories? Well, it's with a big C. Yeah, this world of standards is... We also got a bunch of different types. If they die or give off an egg, is that egg going to be better? You know, for if we crack it open, how much eggshell are we going to get, and how much omelet are we going to be able to produce, and at what rate? So there's a lot of different variables. So you know what that means. It's time to break out the spreadsheet. If I could have your attention for just a moment, I'd like to tell you about a new partner program that I'm a part of through Humble. So you probably recognize them for their Humble Monthlies or their Humble Bundles for different games in the past. But yes, they continue to bring out more and more Humble Bundles, and they are not only for games, but they're also ones for books, such as programming cookbooks. And then just most recently, they also have a Humble Manga Bundle right here. And since I am now partnered with Humble, you can see right down here at the bottom of the screen that, yes, we are partnering with Brothgar. So not only does this financial commitment go to help the creators of these games, it also goes to help some great charities and support me and my efforts here on YouTube. Thank you so much for your time and your support. Have a wonderful day. Links are in the description below. But before we go and we do any sort of experimenting here, let's do a little bit of research so that we understand what we got going on there, because we got a ton of different variables. So taking a quick look here, what we have is many different variants. You can see that their biggest difference is going to be how much decor they're giving off. And there's also some different additional foods that they can eat. But when we take a look at the illumination for these different bugs, you can see that it's 1,800 lux right near the critter, unless you're dealing with the abyss one, because that actually doesn't give off light, it takes it away. And yes, you can see how that works right there. So they all shine the same amount. However, the decor is quite a bit different. Yeah. Boom! Quick look at the different decor levels here. We got the standard shine bug at plus 30, and then once you get up into the royal, sun, and coral, and also the azure, those are all plus 50. Next up is the abyss bug right there, which is plus 80. And then you go up above that to the radiant, which is plus 200. That's a ridiculous amount of decor, which is kind of weird because the maximum decor in the game is like 120 now. But at least you can still see big numbers. So if we just take a quick look here at the solar panels, you can see that this is 5.2 watts. You know, it depends on how close they are to it. If we take a look at the light, once they fly close to the solar panel, they'll give off near 10 watts. When they fly a little bit farther away, they're only producing about 5 watts. And that's the same across all of these different solar panels because the lux is the same. So in our situation here, just to kind of keep it a little simple, all we're worried about is power and food. So we're not going to worry about the decor. I mean, we're going to have so many of these things flying around. It's going to be like a billion decor anyhow. So it's not a big deal. At this point, we're just going to standardize around the normal shine bug. So here's the crazy thing. Even though this grooming station is not inside of a room, it still works. And we saw this in the other hatch farm as well. Since I have a radiant one, I'm going to need to put some diamond over there so that it does its move. All right, so what we should see here is once they get petted a little bit, you should see that their wildness is going to go down. Bubbles here is just going to work 24/7 to help us out today. But yeah, you can see this minus 50% per cycle right there just from being, you know, brushed and pampered on the grooming station. Now they are all attracted to this critter lure right here, which is set up to be phosphorite. So that's why they're all hanging out in this one spot. You can also see how much power we're getting out of this. Not a tremendous amount right now. It's only about 20 some watts, but you know what? It's not really costing us anything at this point. We'll play around with this arrangement to see if we can get more power out of it. Because as you look at this, you can see the light is only partially over the solar panel right now. So if we kind of work this, we could actually probably get more power out of it. Okay, so I've set this to 0. That way Bubbles doesn't actually go and refill it. And when I see one of these guys come down there, I should see how much actually gets taken out. And I think it's going to be 1-to-1 with the calories that it's actually consuming. So if you look on over this, we can actually see the amount of, well, once they become tame, you will be able to get more information off them. That's this shine bug right there. So it's, nope, not that one, that one. So you can see its calories is 40 per cycle, which makes me think that they're going to consume 40 grams per cycle. Sorry, Bubbles, I don't have a bathroom set up for you. Oh, yeah. So they're 8.1. It's gonna be kind of hard to measure because it's such a small number. Royal, where are you? All right, so everything is tame now. I'm gonna go ahead and measure the reproduction rate, so long as everybody's happy, even though Bubbles is not happy. Sorry, Bubbles. Now I've got all these shine bugs and stuff. I guess what I want to do here is set this up differently. Aha! See, it's a good thing I do all of this checking here. Of the Abyss and Radiant Shine Bugs, their incubation rate is 7% per cycle, whereas everybody else is at 20%. So it plays out mathematically slightly different depending on what you have going on. Which means, rather than just using open air for incubation, we might want to actually use an incubator. So, plug that in, everything's ready to go. Hello? Are you kidding me? The Shine Nymph egg plus incubator? That's an 80% per cycle difference. A little bit of research changes everything. When you take a look at the Abyss Nymph egg, you can see that that's only 27%. Interesting. So I'm going to make some predictions here, and I'm going to say all of that, and then I'll just confirm them. Bam! Look at that. And look at how big they are when they're inside of the incubator. They're massive. Must be low pressure or something. Okay, here we go. Ooh, we can see the egg shells. Now here's the thing. If you put a critter drop off here, and then you just make it to the nymphs, then you can actually take them out of this incubator and they'll just put them there. So if we do that, yep. So there you go. They'll just take them out. Boom, just like that. And now they're all ready to go. Oh, look at the little tiny baby. Now these ones are wild. They're going to have to be tamed again. If they had come from a tamed bug, then they would already be tamed. 80%, 27, 27. Okay. So it's just the extra rare ones, the Abyss and the Radiant. Those are the ones that are a little bit slower. I'm gonna need another duplicate. Hassan, welcome. Sorry. Okay, so far, all of these eggs have been 100 grams worth of shell. So if we take that and we run that to a rock granulator, we can then reprocess that into lime. But here's the catch. It takes 5 kilograms to even run the machine. So, yeah, that's why we gotta do a lot of math. Look, look at this ridiculousness. So we're getting 60-some watts out of this. That's not bad. You can see the amount of phosphorite and how slowly it's going down. Just to kind of show it, we're going to retop it off here real quick. And we'll set it back to 0. It's hard to look at. We've got ourselves a small sun. Okay, 100 grams for that guy, 100 grams for that one as well. Okay, so all the shells are 100 grams. Oh, here's a problem. I've got so many over here that I can't. It's counting too many different critters in this area. You can see this is currently in 20. So what we need to do is we need to have a drop-off that is inside of a room. So if I do this number and I just leave these doors open, that should let the little guys out while still separating it because it's a different room. Haha. So if I copy these settings to that, you can see that this is currently 0 of 20, and then it's going to fly over here and go to the lure. Ha! Take that! Holy moly, look at this ridiculousness. You can see how many critter eggs we have down here. Oops. We get a lot. What? You can also see how much power we're getting out of this one currently. That is 68 watts. Not bad. So at this point, I think we should be able to set up the shine nymph to be continuous. We get one each day. And then if I have extra shine nymphs, I should be able to get raw eggs out of them. So I could just set that for forever, but I'll make it a priority level 4. Wow, look at how fast that goes. See? Now we're just breaking them up. Now here's the catch, right? Each time we break one of those up, okay, see, we're only getting 100 grams per egg cracked. See how that only went up 100 grams right there? So the thing is, you can't even run this to turn it into an omelet unless you have 1 kilogram. So it takes 10 eggs to even make an omelet. However, if we take that raw egg and we kind of run it through one of our tricky heater things, which I will just simulate using the good old heat gun here. Check this out. Remember, we could force it into an omelet. We could just magic the food out of it. Here we go. Gets hot. It's getting hot. Really hot. A little hotter. There it is. Boom. Omelet. 1,960 calories. Like it was nothing. Anybody hungry? How about you? No, they're not hungry because they don't actually eat currently. But they could eat it. So let's just take this raw egg. We're gonna do the same thing again. You can see that there is currently 100 grams. So if we heat gun it, come on, a little bit more. Boom, omelet. 280 calories. Magic food, man. How about that? And we're still running the incubator. What? All right, so let's clear the floor a little bit here. Let's try to run some of these other ones, make sure that we're still getting the same out of it. We're gonna a royal nymph egg. Crack that up. So let's do this thing. We're going to put our little shipping arm up there. We're going to put a loader and a receptacle up there as well. So if we do this number, we brush in a bunch of water. There we go. So that will heat it up to the point where it's going to be hot enough to automatically turn that that egg into an omelet. So raw egg goes in, and what do we have on the outside? We have omelets. Delicious. All right, so in case you haven't seen this, I'm going to go ahead and set it up. This is a way that we can run the incubator, get the bonus from incubation, but without using 240 watts continuous for the entire cycle. So what we use is we use a clock sensor, a smart battery, and then a power shutoff. So you run the power up through the power shutoff right there, just like so. Then you run an automation wire between this and that. So now I'm just going to say I only want this to be active. Usually 3 to 5% is a good spot to go, and then you set a certain time that you want it to start. And that's just going to allow power to run into that battery. That gives the duplicate enough time to come on over there and do its thing. So you can go ahead and set that to a higher priority so that I make sure it gets done. And then it'll run out of power, but you still get the bonus for that entire cycle. So this way it uses far less energy. You know, the battery's like 20 kilojoules worth of storage, rather than, if we were to look at the reports of the previous cycle, you can see the power usage right there. The incubator was 290 kilojoules. Look at that. All right, so at this point we have a pretty ridiculous sun there. I wonder what the decor's like in this spot. Holy... What? At least you can see what's going on there. I mean... Alright, so let's take a look at the reproduction rate. It's 67%. I think these are all going to be 67. When they're happy and been cared for, I guess. I can't see what I'm clicking on, but... Just need multiple grooming stations. Bubbles, where are you? There you go. Here, there we go. Now I can see what I'm clicking on. Oxygen, nothing but darn it! It won't let me click on stuff. Ah! Murder! Okay, there we go. There, man. All right, so where you at, buddy? Oh, you ran away. Where'd you? What? Uh-oh. Oops. Plan B. I just noticed everybody's like slowly freezing. My bad. Sorry about that. I made a lot of really cold oxygen. A little bit frosty in there. We'll warm it back up. Don't worry. Crap, what was I doing? Oh no, I lost it. I walk away for 2 seconds and look at how many... Oh. Okay, so at this point, I've got some pretty decent numbers, but what I want to do here is try to maximize the amount of power I'm going to get out of these guys. You can see it's creating a steady 120 watts. However, if we take a look at some of these other layouts right here, you can see that they might be positioning it in between 2 solar panels right there to get even more power out of the thing. There's also a potential that we could put this in a nice spot and kind of get a lot of decor out of it. So let's go ahead and just try this. Does the decor pass through? It should. Yes, it does. Just like so. What happens if we do that? Boom! That decor just keeps passing right on by. However, if we were to make this out of something like a solid tile, and we take a look at the decor, it does not make it past that. The other thing is having a wall up here, some sort of ceiling, that will keep them down a little bit lower, keeping the major illuminations, their lux, right down there on the solar panels, so they should perform a little bit better. Now let's see if I could do this without entombing all of them. Okay, so you can see I'm generating 150, 160. If I copy this up and try to push them down another tile. Still generating about the same. Let's see if I can go one more tile. Oh, we only trapped one. Okay, never mind, we trapped many. Interesting. It went the opposite direction of what I thought it was going to do. The power went down. It's now at 140 rather than 160. Is that because they spread out more? Or is that because I accidentally buried some and I didn't even know it? Nope, I didn't bury any. And the power goes back up. Okay, so there's something to this. You want to have an extra tile right there. They seem to go, instead of spreading out, they bunch up a little bit more, which increases the overall lux rather than spreading it out. Yeah, so there's some science to this. All right, okay. All right, so now that I kind of know what I'm dealing with here, let's try to come up with a layout that's going to optimize the amount of power I'm going to get out of these solar panels and also serve as a way to run incubators and feeders and all that fun stuff. So we're going to start off by deconstructing everything. And then the shine bug should hopefully disperse. Go away. I want to see what I'm doing. Oh, look at that. They look like little stars. Okay. So, solar panel. Boom. Solar panel. Not right next to it, but we're going to leave a spot. This is where we're going to put our lure, right there in the middle. So in there, I'll put phosphorite, but I'm going to disable this building for now. As far as what we're going to use for floors, it seems like a good idea to go ahead and just use window tiles. We'll make them out of glass. And it might be a good idea to leave this open a little bit. All right, so what I want to do is I need to have feeders and stuff like that up there. So maybe I want to have a couple ladders, keep it plasticky, everything's nice and white. I really only ever need one critter feeder because I'm just going to be running phosphorite, but there is diamond if I happen to have the rare chance of actually getting one of those radiant ones. Now for the stations, probably a good idea to have the grooming stations right here. And then next to that is going to be an incubator. Now, I don't know if I want to incubate every single type. I definitely could. But at some point, like you're definitely going to run out of duplicates at some point here. You don't necessarily need a lure, but the lure will focus it into a certain spot. So you can see how they're all kind of spread out right now. We want to get some power out of them. So we're only getting 26, we're getting 40 something there. Watch what happens when we enable this. They're all going to be like, look at them go. That's awesome. Okay. I think what I'll do here is I'm going to add a second layer. Maybe I'll give it a little bit more space. Containing a sun inside of your base, like that, it might take up a little bit of space. So I'll do the power, the shut off, the automation clock sensor right up here for that. And you know what? I have power right here, so it's not a big deal. I could just go ahead and do that. So then I'll just take the power like this and run it in there. That only wants to be available for, again, 5% or so throughout the entire day. However, it'd also be a good idea just to store up some power from these down here that are running. All right, I'm going to have to disperse the sun here. Let's disable this real quick. What I want to do is I want to set up an auto sweeper down here somewhere. Okay, right there. And all it's going to do is load the certain type of egg that's going to be in there, that needs to be in there, I guess. I guess I can load several things. All right, so I got this thing up and running, and it's kind of big and overcomplicated, but that's all right. It's just kind of a prototype at this point. And essentially, I'm not 100% sure that this is totally worth it at the moment. So take a look at these solar panels, and each one of these solar panels is currently putting out 150 watts or so. So 140, 150, which is good. Like, I mean, that's a good amount of power considering it's kind of passive. The thing is, it's not passive. My duplicants are spending a lot of time down here on the grooming stations. I don't even know how many... I got a lot of critters down there. Actually, I have 42 down there. Holy moly. And, you know, they're trying pretty hard to put as much effort as they can into these solar panels at the moment. So let's go ahead and try to rework the critter lure here to see if I can get these little shine bugs to more effectively power this solar panel. So the first thing I want to try here is to simply drop it down one tile. So if we do that, the current panel, 140, 170 something. Well, I guess you know what? I could just take a look at the reports, right? So in the previous cycle, the solar panels added 203 kilojoules. The day before that, 191, 193, 195, 168. So not a huge amount of power, people. If you were to put a duplicate on just one of these little hamster wheels, they'd produce more than all of these shine bugs combined so far. So we really got to optimize this thing. Looks like I'm getting up to spikes of about 200 watts. By bringing that down, they seem to be spreading out more often, and that seems to be making a difference, I should say. I also have a ton of eggs up here ready to crack open, and then at some point, once those crack open, I should be able to get some food out of this. So then at least we'll know, you know, where we're at currently. At some point here, we're going to have to find a nice balance between how many shine bugs I'm going to keep around, how much power I'm getting out of them, how much time I'm spending on them, and, you know, how do we get the most, how do we min and max this thing? That's what I really want to know. And I don't think I'm going to be able to solve it in one episode. All right, so let's crank this thing up. Let's see what the reports were. What was yesterday? Oh, we got an extra 50 kilojoules out of just moving that down one tile. See, that's what I'm talking about. Making a difference. Every little bit counts. Okay, so what if I drop it yet another tile? See if I can get that a little bit lower. Food, critter lure, there we go. Phosphorite, it's now going to come down a little bit further. And here's the other thing I'm noticing. There's a ton of light up here. Like, whoa, they're all spreading out. They don't know where the lure is. Or has nobody filled it up? Somebody want to put that thing there? There we go. That's why. Yeah. So a part of me is thinking, okay, maybe there should be solar panels here and then solar panels up there. That way I'm getting exposure over 4 panels rather than just 2. But look at this. Ooh, we brought it down. We're compressing the sun. I feel like we're about to make a hammer. Look at our lux. 64,000. At some point here, my dupes are going to get sunburn, and they're going to be all disappointed. How many bugs do I got now? 45 of 20. Wow, okay. Reports, previous cycle. 250, okay. We might be losing a little bit of power. Let's let it run a little bit longer, but we might be losing some power by all of these guys that are down there. They're not applying it to the solar panel. They're just going off to the side. So there's a little bit of kind of an issue there. Ooh, you know what? Never mind. Check it out. Look at today's solar panels. Look at how much is running on those. And you were talking 240s. We're over. That was 308 kilojoules. All right, so we've made yet another improvement. All right, so now let's see what happens if we put some over here on the side. Critter lures I'm talking about. We're going to copy that up. We're going to bring it on over there. Whoop. We don't need that. We'll only power up this one because that's all I care about right now. No, there's a bunch of eggs and whatever. Okay, so is that making a difference on this solar panel? We're talking 2 228. 256. No, it's not making a difference at all. These bugs could care less. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it's... They just gotta find it. What if we disable it and then re-enable it for a minute? What? What? This is ridiculous! Is that better? We're talking 240. 165. Okay, okay. Interesting. I bet you didn't think we were going to be bending light this episode. But, yeah, that's definitely happening. Alright, so now that I have a couple more of these lures, I've spread out the light a little bit. You can see we're doing a little bit 200 there. 211. Let's just see the previous cycle. 255. That was 295. 308. So it doesn't look like these critter lures have done anything to help us here. Matter of fact, if we just take a look at this solar panel and just wait for them to go back to the middle, I think we'll see it jump up. Yep, and it goes right up in the watts. The brightness of that ball is critical. So right up to 250. So we're getting a good amount out of it. I don't know if it's really worth the amount of effort that we're putting onto it, though. However, we are getting a little bit of food out of this thing. It's cracking, it's being cooked, it's ending up over here. We got 600 grams of omelet right there. We're up to 48 critters. Yeah, you can see we're definitely cranking up the food here. 3,640. And that's not huge, really. I got all of these shine nymph eggs right here just waiting to either end up in the incubator or crack. Up to 342 kilojoules. It's not bad. So, by the way, a manual generator puts out 400 watts. So if your duplicate could run the entire day, it would actually put out 240 kilojoules. But let's say you can run 80% of the day. That's 192 kilojoules. So, that's 384 is what we have to overcome in order to be power efficient more than these duplicates can actually do, right? So, at this point, are we there yet? Not quite. Really, we should see like... Alright, so here's where we're at. We are generating a decent amount of power. And the thing is, we're also getting eggshells and we're also getting food. So, as a total, even though this is really consuming 2 duplicates full time, we might be able to see just how much it's actually worth it at the moment. Okay, so now that things are up and running here, let's go ahead and try to predict just how much food we're going to get out of this. So, I've got a reproduction rate of 67%. We could take that, we can multiply that by 280 because all going to be 187 kilocalories right there per 187 grams, or we could just call them calories of omelet right there per cycle per bug. And if I just drag this down, you can see that yeah, the Abyss and Radiance are not very valuable at all. Now, since I currently have 59 critters in one spot, we can take this, we multiply it by 59 and get some sort of idea of our crazy production rate. So that's 11,000 calories per cycle. So I guess the idea is that if we only keep shine bugs and sun bugs, there's a bit of randomness to this, but essentially we can hatch one of those out every single cycle by using lullaby and incubation. And for 20 cycles of its life, it will produce this much grams. However, during that time, we're going to need 1 egg out of it that we won't actually turn back into food. So that means each of these shine bugs ultimately is worth around 3,500 calories. And if we're hatching one every cycle and they die off every 25 cycles, we should, for the most part, average out to 50 in my current environment because I'm constantly hatching one out of each side. So really, if I can maintain a healthy population of 20, then that would be that times 20. That's 3,752 calories per cycle. And it's also 3.7 kilograms of eggshell per cycle. So food-wise, I think it's a little bit worse than the hatches, but you are getting power out of it. The real question is just how much power. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let this run for many cycles and just kind of see where it all averages out at. You know, how many critter eggs do I have? How many are still alive after a given amount of time? So I'm just going to let this sit here and run for a good long while. Alright, so here we are in cycle 590. One of the things I did here to make sure that this is happening every single cycle is I put it right at the very beginning. That way when Bubbles gets up in the morning from her nice comfy bed, she runs on over there and does that work right there. So, the amount of eggs I currently have, as you can see, there's quite a few shine nymph eggs over there, and that's been built up. And I'm currently maintaining 18 of 20 critters, so I could potentially maintain a few more. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to look at the reports here. Added today. Well, we haven't added any, so let me just go ahead and do this number to get rid of that. And then I'm going to clear that floor as well. And we're going to see just how much I build on up over the next 10 cycles here. Yeah, we'll get a pretty decent idea of at least just how much that was. I caught it a little bit late in the cycle, but yeah, it'll be all right. For the most part, I'm focusing just on the shine nymph eggs right there. The other ones, you know, they are around. Sometimes they just kind of get out of reach of things and they end up hatching anyhow. But for the most part, all of them are coming up in here, and then from there they get swept. Yeah, they either get put into this guy or they crack out of that because it doesn't take it out quick. I put eggs in faster than I'm taking them out. And then some of the other ones are right here, so you can see that happens. They'll eventually age out and crack open. So you can see in a normal schedule right there, she'll kind of run the incubator, deliver one to the critter drop-off, kind of clean some stuff, deliver some eggs, and she'll probably end up on the grooming station for the rest of the day. Spends a lot of time there with all of the different little nymphs or bugs, shine bugs, and she has to clean all of those guys up. So takes a good long time, pretty much one full day for Bubbles every day, dealing with these critters. You can see the amount of power that I have on each one of these solar panels. It's generating roughly 100 watts or so. Bubbles! Bubbles, you gotta take it out of the incubator. Incubator! Incubator! Yeah, see, Bubbles here is just so overworked, unfortunately, with the grooming station that she forgets about the incubator despite it being at priority level 9. Bubbles! So, I mean, that's why we don't have 20 out of 20, because she can only be so efficient. There just isn't enough time in the day to run this entire farm with this many shine bugs in it. I know the feeling, Bubbles. Alright, so we are coming up on the end of cycle 599. So we'll be able to get some sort of idea here. You can see the food isn't that bad. 18,200 calories. I mean, that's more than one single dupe right there. Oop, it went up a little bit. How about that? 19,000. If we take a look at the reports and we look at the power for the last several days, you can see that solar panels, 146 kilojoules, 143, 148. Okay, let's just go with 145 kilojoules. You can see we were able to build up 6.9 kilograms of eggshell. So that's 690 grams of eggs every cycle or so. At least that's what it averaged out with Bubbles there for the last 10 cycles. I've run this a couple of times through 10 cycles. And the numbers kind of, I mean, they fluctuate a little bit, but they aren't too insane. So the real question here is this worth setting up? Well, one benefit is you get some ridiculous decor out of it, especially if you take some of these and you kind of raise them and send them elsewhere for pets and whatnot. They really do not consume much food at all. I mean, microscopic amounts. I have yet to refill this thing since I started this, and this thing's been running for hours at this point. So, barely used any phosphorite at all. So I wouldn't be worried about that. The amount of power, 145 kilojoules is all right. It's not insane, but it's definitely better than nothing. So it's still less than one dupe running on the hamster wheel for pretty much the entire cycle. The amount of food, though, you know, it's for one duplicant plus a little bit more of another one. You know what I mean? So it's just about 2 duplicants worth of food at a quality of +2. So I guess you're getting about, I guess a good way of looking at this is you're getting about 2/3 of a dupe's power, 1 2/3, maybe a little bit more. I mean, I've seen that number be a little bit lower as far as its food, and then you gain a bit of lime out of it. So it's not massively overpowered like it looks, right? I mean, you think about it, oh, we're going to put a whole bunch of shine bugs down here and it's just going to make power forever and ever. However, there might be some other options that we can do here if we don't necessarily need to keep all of these, you know, shine bugs and stuff really happy. If we can find a way to just say, okay, all they need to do is reproduce enough to sustain themselves, and maybe we don't really worry about the food. Maybe there's other ways to get a lot of food. You know, I mean, I think the hatch farms actually make a little bit more food than that. I mean, quite a bit more. We had one dupe's full-time job was supporting a total of 5 dupes. This is one dupe's full-time job supporting just maybe 2 dupes. But then again, it's got plenty of power. So there might be some ways to kind of min and max this a little bit more so that you can maintain more of your dupes' time throughout the day rather than them being completely dedicated to this task. So there might be a part 2, probably. I think you guys will probably come up with some great ideas, but I'm not 100% sure where I'm going to go from here. As far as I'm concerned in my base, I might set up something like this. I kind of know where to put this critter lure. If you put it 2 down, that seems to help. We get a little bit more power out of that, but I don't know. I have to be willing to dedicate a dupes to this, you know, 100%. I need to have an extra duplicant. If I have an extra duplicant, then this would be a good job for them to do 24/7 because, you know what? I get stuff out of it and it barely costs me anything at all. Just phosphorite and 1 dupe. So I guess at the end of the day, when you really stop to think about it, the value gain for that 1 dupe and, you know, that this being something that they do is pretty good. At any rate, that's all I got time for today. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this little episode here of Oxygen Not Included. Let me know what you think about this. Is it really OP? Is there something we can do extra here to maybe get more out of these little shine bugs? Get some more power out of them, maybe get some more food out of them? I don't know, different strategies. We tried some different things. We'll just have to see. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, guys. Stay awesome. Peace. Brothgar